are the ones that we currently at Minuttia incorporating into our frameworks, and we believe are important key points. Of course, there are more, but we think that these are one of the most important key points. And also every recommendation from the patents, because we're going to present some best practice based on Google patents and the researches, are based on our own understanding and interpretation of each patent, which means that the things you're going to see here regarding best practices are based on how we kind of turn the patent into something actionable. And there are also, they are not guaranteed, these best practices are not guaranteed to claim an AIO citation. This is something new and the industry is still learning. We have lots to see, lots to examine. And of course, these are, a set of best practices for the best possible results, but of course, there's not guaranteed like anything in SEO. You cannot guarantee anything in SEO. And of course, AI overviews are still new, as I said before, and the industry has a lot more to learn. So take those as a set of best practices, not the absolute truth, because we're always evolving. So we can start with the first best practice, if that's okay. So let's roll. By the way, for this workshop, I'm going to present a specific Google patent, and then I will give a quick explanation of why I think this patent is important for this topic, and then I'm going to present a set of actionable things regarding this patent. So the first best practice is basically match the topic with your answer, and this is based on the patent called scoring candidate answer passages. Many of you may know this as passage ranking. It's like, search engines kind of parse the document and kind of retrieve information from specific sections, specific segments. And in order to help the search engine get a complete snippet and kind of use it as an answer, and use this snippet to answer a specific question on AI overviews, you have to structure your content in a way that's actually helpful, not only for the reader, but for the search engine or generative engine as well. So takeaways from this one is to answer the question right away. And this may seem like redundant, but we've seen many times in content pieces, like there's a section on the page, and instead of providing the answer right away, you may start with some fluff, some introduction that's kind of irrelevant. And for example, if you see the image from the patent in this slide, you see, for example, the second section, the second question: how long does it takes for the moon to orbit Earth? There's a specific answer, specific, clear, direct answer. So no fluff at all, just answer the question right away. The next one is you must match your copy with the topic, which means that you must be as relevant as possible. You must not stray away from the topic or the answer. And the best thing here is actually be as specific as possible. So the next and third actionable point from this is to avoid fluff in the paragraph copy and stay in context. I am so against fluff, not only for SEO reasons, but for readability reasons as well, because especially right now that we are in an age that everything's kind of, moving very fast, users have no, tolerance for fluff. I mean, you kind of help search engines and end users. So this is the first best practice. If you're going to keep something from here, is just answer the question right away, skip the fluff, and stay relevant. So let's head to the next best practice. This is one of my favorites. It's basically give context. So what is this about? I will need to give some more context here, no pun intended. So this is from a patent called entity disambiguation. It's a patent that actually caught my attention because it basically explains how the search engine tries to disambiguate an entity a named entity. And I think this is important when you are optimizing for AI overviews or AI search in general, because what this patent is about is that the engine tries to basically make sure that you are talking for a specific entity. What it does, it has two systems, one forward and one backward, and this is about the context that's preceding the entity and that's proceeding the entity, which means that even if I answer, even if I give an answer that's good, if after that answer I'll start to give, more fluffy content and out of context vocabulary or anything, I may dilute the trust the search engine has that this is about a specific entity. So actionable points: avoid words and terms that are irrelevant to the query's main entity, and of course avoid fluff in the paragraph copy. And you must always stay in context. Like for example, um, if my main entity is, let's say, a city, the whole paragraph must be relevant in the context of the city to help the search engine. So, best practice number 3, which is also one that I think is, very important when you are basically optimizing for AI overviews. And by the way, these are all best practices that I try to incorporate in, our day-to-day SEO frameworks. So these are best practices in general. These are not limited to, I want to rank on AI results. It doesn't work like that. And these are general best practices. But when it comes to AI overviews, another good patent that caught my attention is basically this one: phrase-based indexing in an information retrieval system. This is about phrases, and it basically kind of identifies good phrases, as it calls them, which are phrases that, first of all, they are more common in a set of documents compared to other ones. Of course, contextual phrases, not any phrase. And there are a set of phrases that help the search engine predict another phrases. And this is important to kind of help the search engine get the context of your content easier, which can also help, of course, in getting a snippet and citation, both in feature snippets and of course AI overviews. So some actionable things. The first one is to avoid terms or phrases that are not relevant to the question. Like if you have a question and you're answering it, or if you are trying to hit a citation for an AI overview, you must be as relevant as possible. So the phrases must be as close to your main topic as possible. You also have to use phrases and terms that are directly related to the question. What I mean for the let's say weight loss, you must mention like kilograms, lbs, maybe nutrition, terms that are directly related to the question itself. And the third one is to add new contextual information. This is about information gain, which I think it's also extremely important, especially in modern SEO, to add new contextual information the previous answer didn't have. Just a note here, this is also important for claiming citations that a competitor might have, and you may try to claim that AI overview citation. You have to add, like, at least this is what I believe, new contextual information that will make the answer more complete, more satisfying, and more overall more relevant to the topic. So best practice number 4. This is from a research. So this is from a research from Princeton University, Georgia Tech, Allen Institute of AI, and IT Delhi. And this is about, they did a research on how you can basically optimize for generative answers. And as you see in the table on the slide, they call it GEO optimization, which means generative engine optimization. So GEO instead of SEO. And this is about techniques that can be used to increase the chances of getting a snippet in a generative engine. And by the way, this is for generative engines not limited to AI overviews, but in general, LLMs, like for example, Perplexity, let's say. So what they found is that they basically tested different techniques, like different techniques, but the techniques that they saw that they kind of helped in increasing visibility in AI snippets were basically to cite sources when possible, to use statistics when possible, and of course use relevant quotes in your answer. So best practice number 4 is to use statistics, citations, and quotes when possible. Just a note here, I think that this has to do with trust, because right now that the whole web is, uh, kind of flooded with AI, and things will get not worse, but more and more people will generate content, will generate information using AI. Um, Both search engines and LLMs have to kinds of have a system to draw information from that's trusted. So I think that those elements might increase the trust factor. So I think that's why they kind of were correlated with positive results. So yeah, use stats, use citations, and use quotes when possible in your content when answering something. And let's go to best practice number 5, which is the last best practice in this workshop. Button for the SGE, let's call it, called generative summaries for search results. This is very noisy, so for everyone watching this, please don't try to decode the screenshot from the slide right now. You can just visit the patent and examine it yourself. I know it may look very noisy. So what this says is basically when when the system is trying to render responses, they basically use some trust annotations. So what I believe is, and this is tied to the previous best practice, that answers that may have, that may emit better trust, may see better chances of appearing. And this is why we also recommend here to mention sources, mention stats, mention studies when possible. Of course, build topic clusters, because at the end of the day, it's all about having a relevant domain. And this is important, especially right now, because even about stock investing, let's say, I may seem like, a more relevant source if I stick to my topic, be more informative than the others, and kind of build, as we call them, topic clusters around specific topics for my main theme, which means that if search engines kind of identify me as an authority or as a relevant and thematic domain, thematic website, I have more chances to appear for relevant queries on search engine, on SG results, on AI overviews. And of course, add additional information that users might need to know. This is about information gain again, and this is, if you see the patent, it also mentions that it also examines, additional questions that the user might have for this specific question. So another important thing is to try to add additional information that users might need to know, and of course try to make more complete answers, satisfying the users better. and this is also tied to, as we call it, satisfy scoping the competition. Um, you are not giving, a good excuse for the search engine to rank you, and you are kind of relying strongly on your authority and on your brand. But not every website has, a strong, let's say, strong authority because of backlinks or a strong brand. So yeah, additional information. Of course, this information has to be relevant. You just can't, add any information just for the sake of it. It has to be super relevant. These are all actionable takeaways from this Google patent based on my interpretation.
Adonis, thanks a lot. It seems that the patents are actionable and everything seems clear. And also, it seems that all these things are applicable to other things. For example, content creation in general, and not just optimizing for AI overviews. But before getting into these things, I would like to share a thought of mine because as I saw on social media these days, it seems that there was a big buzz around AI overviews and all these things. But at this moment, it seems that the sand has settled, and I don't see so much action and many takeaways or things around that. What are your overall opinion to this? And
That's a great question, and actually, this is something I would love to to mention, at least from how I see things regarding the AI overviews. I kind of like to treat those like feature snippets. What I mean, um, of course, there were a set of actions that you are going to hunt a feature snippet. Like, for example, try to set a length for your answer, try to hit a specific angle for your answer, etc. But at the end of the day, all those things, like feature snippets, they they were about content structure and information, how you present your information. And I like to kind of think as AI overviews like feature snippets. I mean, you don't have to actually kind of be obsessed with specifically those. Like, okay, so how can I like manipulate the outputs of the AI and rank there? I would say that it would be better to have a clear set of best practices for your content team or your writers, and also for your SEO team when it comes to creating outlines and content briefs, to kind of guide those things like, okay, how content should be structured, not only for claiming AI overviews, but to have better structured content. And this, I think, might help to also claim more feature snippets as well, because at the end of the day, it's all about having relevant, clear, and well structured information. And of course, this will help to also claim AI overviews. Because another thing, in some audits we did at Minuttia regarding AI visibility, AI overviews visibility, we saw that even if we hadn't like trying to optimize for AI, for many queries we were appearing in a citation. Not for all of them, but for many queries I mean, our clients were appearing in AI citations, and that was because the answers were, as I said, well structured, informative, and clear. So yeah, um, long story short, I would say try to not be obsessed with claiming AI. Just create a set of best practices and treat those as additional sections of visibility, like snippets.
that's great. Also, at this point, I would like to ask you if you have any questions. Feel free to drop them on LinkedIn or on YouTube, wherever you are watching us from. And Adoni, what about other factors that affect citations on AI overviews? Are there any other factors that we should consider?
Yeah, that was actually the next slide, the finishing slide. So let's roll to that. So there are other important factors. Okay, the first one is you have to rank on page one. when AI overviews first came out, there were many observations that said that they were drawing information from pages, they were drawing snippets from pages that were also ranking on beyond page one. Uh, I'm not debunking this. I just say that based on our experience from performing AI overview audits at Minuttia, we saw that those queries that our clients had as citation in AI overviews were all from queries that were ranking on page one. So I see a strong correlation there. I would say that when it comes to this, if you rank on page one, you increase your chances to also appear on the overview. So to be honest, you just have to do good SEO after all to appear on page one. The next one is to build a brand. This is a bit cliche. I know for the past 2 years, we SEOs are talking about building a brand, like go beyond Google search, embrace this not only like optimizing for Google, but more of a 360 approach to online marketing. Yeah, because having a brand will increase your trust in Google's eyes and will also help in associating your brand with specific themes and specific topics. So yeah, going beyond Google search, try to build your brand presence, try to build your overall online presence, and I think this can help as well. And another thing is that you must associate your brand with specific topics. What I mean here, let's say if you are let's take the example I give here. In email marketing software as a service company, you want to be associated with this topic or relevant themes or relevant subtopics. Because when your brand co-occurs with other terms or other topics, search engines associate your brand with these terms. So if I have a brand and I appear close to another topic, let's say email marketing, SEO, investing, anything, my brand will be associated with this topic. And this will help search engines to kind of match my brand specific theme, and of course increase the overall relevancy of my website and brand for specific topical segments.
Tony? Can you hear
There's
me?
some technical difficulties, it seems. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. I see that my screen is now live. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I have some technical issues here. So the
Yeah,
next
happens.
question is
On live shows.
how... Yes, indeed.
Let me try
So
again.
how can a company apply these practices to its framework? I mean, okay, we shared all these things and all these patterns and everything, and you can't answer this question in the previous answer, but any other things that you think that are applicable to other companies and how they can apply all this to their frameworks?
Well, I think the most important thing is that those should be components of an SOPs, of SOPs and overall frameworks. After all, it's all about having a specific set of best practices, specific set of guidelines to kind of help your content team, your writers, your deliverables or documents that will be as best as possible for what you want to achieve. So I would say that companies should try to create set of SOPs and set of best practices, and kind of create frameworks that will use those frameworks to train internal teams, to train even contractors, and to communicate what should be done when it comes to creating content.
That's great. And I mean, we basically discussed AI overviews, but are these best practices only usable for them, AI overviews, or other generative engines such as Gemini and LLMs?
I think if you have good structure, good information, and be relevant, that's kind of agnostic to, as I say, uh, it's not only for AI overviews. So it's all about information and structure after all.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And also, as I can see in the last slide, as we are at this point, you've mentioned AI overviews audit that we've built at Minuttia. Could you expand more about it and what we take into account and what is this all about?
Yeah. Basically, we kind of take a set of queries. It can be the whole content inventory, or a set of queries the client wants to examine if they actually rank on AI overviews, if they have a citation for those queries. We actually run an audit to see if those queries trigger, first of all, an AI overview, and if they trigger an overview, if we have a citation. And then we draw conclusions. Like, for example, we see the unclaimed citations and we kind of draw conclusions like, are there any priorities, are there any patterns we see, and if we're going to claim those citations, which citations are going to prioritize and why, because not every query is created equal. I mean, other queries are more profitable compared to other ones. So it's all about identifying which queries trigger an overview, identifying citations we don't have and we can claim, unclaimed citations, and then try to prioritize, like, okay, out of those queries, which are the ones we will try to tackle first.
Mm-hmm. So another question could be, let's say that I am an SEO at a B2B SaaS company and I'm interested in building our content and SEO strategy. Should we take into account AI overviews optimization and all these things? And should this be a priority for us? What are your thoughts?
Mm, I'll say, as I said earlier, I'm not, I believe we shouldn't obsess over AI overviews right now. What I would say is that running an audit is good, because at the end of the day, every company has a set of profitable queries, or queries that they want to have the best visibility possible. So, not obsessing over AI visibility, but at the same time make sure that you claim those unclaimed citations if they are for valuable queries for the company. So I would say we don't have to be obsessed, but at the same time we have to know how our how our website performs when it comes to AI overviews, because if you don't have a citation, a competitor will. So at the end of the day, it's all about going after the best queries, not obsessing and be like, okay, how can I optimize for AI overviews? I should claim everything. I don't know. I would say focus on the most valuable queries. But you have to do. I mean, you have to have insights about how your brand stands out when it comes to the visibility on those overviews. Especially if
Totally
you
agree with you.
invest
Mhm.
heavily on SEO. Mm.
Totally agree. Um, let's say that you want to summarize all this presentation. What are the key takeaways that you want our listeners to
Key
remember and take
takeaways.
action? Mhm.
Okay, yeah, key takeaways. I would say um, build thematic websites. Don't try to be a know-it-all website, especially right now. Uh, the second one is to try to be um, as informative as possible. Like, don't try to just copy what others do and call it a day. Try to add more information, more relevant information, and of course more different angles that the others, your competitors, might have missed when you answering something. The third one is to answer right away. I mean, screw the fluff. We don't need it. Just answer the just answer the query, answer the question, stay on topic. Don't try to. I know that might sound weird for some people that may love storytelling and stuff, but don't try to be like try to tell stories a lot. Try to be fluffy. Just right away answers, direct answers, and to the point answers, and as direct as possible.
Sure thing. So all these things are applicable, as we mentioned, to other things, and also all these tips are kind of tips for content creation and content marketing in general. Any other
Yeah.
things that you think that are important when it comes to AI overviews? Any other things that you are reading and you are fascinated about?
Well, I would say at the end of the day, it's all about having a strong brand. It sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, if you have a good backlink profile, if you have a strong brand, and if you have a thematic website with information that your competitors don't have, I think you will do good in SEO in general. And AI overviews are, I see them as an extension of the search. Like, for example, if the search engines trust you and see your answer as the best answer possible, they will give you a citation. So if they trust you and if you answer right away and in an informative manner, I think you have more chances to appear there. And I don't see things in SEO changing so much. Of course, approaching content is different. Like, for example, I advocate a lot for unique pages and unique information, and not copying the competition. But at the end of the day, if you have good backlinks, good content, good trust signals, EAT, call them if you want, and a good brand, you will do well on search.
So the basics remain the same, and all the people don't need to be
Yeah, the
scared about all
fundamentals.
these changes and all these things that they are hearing
Yeah,
on social media. And since you mentioned a lot of times about building trust, what are your
yeah.
best practices on building trust and how it affects the overall sentiment of claiming citations and getting better results on search engines? What are your thoughts?
Well, trust for me is divided into two components. The first one is the trust elements that have to do with your brand as a whole, which can be all those boring EAT elements we're talking about, like an about us page, which are not boring, of course, they're very important. Clear contact information about us page, even having, if possible, expert authors or expert reviewers for your content. Of course, having branded search volume helps, which is a set of action of, you know, it's a result of a set of actions of building a brand. And of course, mentioning, as we said, um, information not only based, on like the first ranking pages, but also going above and beyond, like side studies, give unique information from subject matter experts. Um, if possible, try to use internal team inputs for specific topics, and it all has to do with basically having a brand. And the second one is about the content itself. Like, for example, as I said, going above and beyond. You don't have to I mean, as I like to call it, you have to go more academic Uh, at least that's what I believe right now in SEO. You have to be more academic, like you have to go deeper. When you are explaining a topic, you have to be more trusted from the other pages, because at the end of the day, people will use AI, people will use tactics to scale content development. So if you cannot, like, if you don't have the brand power, you have to start building trust by creating better content.
Mm-hmm. Also, before wrapping things up, I would like to ask you for one sentence or one tip, whatever, about the listeners and the SEOs who are hearing this episode, this webinar, I'm sorry. What should they do about AI overviews, and how do you see this new thing? Do you see it becoming something big that they should be scared of, or they start optimizing for? They can see it as something that it's still new, and we should be stay calm and don't take any rash decisions. What are your thoughts? And last,
I would say it's still
just
early.
yes.
Yeah, I would say it's still early. So my advice, or let's say recommendation, because uh, I'm not like like giving advices on things that are in such early stages. My recommendation would be to just try to watch what happens, try to kind of see where this will be turned out, like for example how things will go. Don't obsess over it, just watch over it, try to adapt, try to learn more things, because I see that right now we are at a learning phase. We are still at a learning phase. So don't take anything for granted. Try to create better content than your competitors, and of course try to stay informed when it comes to AI. I wouldn't call it a threat. I don't see it as a threat. I think that SEO will remain as is. Things will change, approaches will change. I mean, content quality will have to increase, and not only content quality, overall quality will have to increase, even backlinks. But right now, I would say this as a last, quote from this workshop. Try to watch how things will go. Try to learn as much as possible, but at the same time, don't obsess over it. That's what I do, at least.
That's great, Adoni, and I believe that's a great way to wrap things up today. And I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. Also, I want to let you know that the recording of the webinar will be published on YouTube, so you can review the content at your convenience. And any other useful links and resources will be shared in our Minuttia's newsletter, so you can definitely sign up there, so you won't miss the presentation and everything we discussed today with Adonis. Stay tuned for more content like this. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel for engaging video content, and see you soon. Adoni, bye bye.
Bye, everyone.